going on, everybody? Happy Friday to everybody. I got my man Hector from Brew Sports and Latino Sports here. We got a special guest, Dexter Henry's going to be joining us in a little bit too. Brilliant sports journalist to talk baseball, to talk Yankees, to talk offseason, trades, free agency, the works, and maybe we'll get a little inside scoop. Hector, man, thank you for coming on, bro. How you doing?
Of course, man. You know, like always, shout out to chat. My name is Hector Beauchamp, host of Yanks Morning Brew from Uptown Sports TV. Also, I am the social media manager for Latino Sports. I forgot to tell you, yesterday I was with Joshua Palacios at Turn 2 Fitness in Queens doing some off-season workouts, right? Joshua Palacios, the right fielder from the Pittsburgh Pirates. So even though it's November 15th, baseball players, they're starting their routines to get back ready for the season right now, like literally right now. And yesterday was awesome. So I have some footage that be dropping. So be on the lookout.
Working in an off season. This way you can make up for those gains. This way you can get a step ahead. So I definitely take advantage of the off season and get fit. So and that's all sports, by the way. That's all sports. Hopefully athletes will take advantage. I understand the rest and recovery is important, no doubt about it. But
yes,
working on some of the weaknesses in the offseason is a good idea. Shout out to the chat as well. So I wanted to bring up this one thing. I was just talking to Hector about this too. I don't know if you guys heard this about it too. I put it out this morning. It's this trade proposal that's kind of floating around now, right, from New York Post Sports. And it's Yankees and Cubs. And the proposal is Will Warren, Spencer Jones, and Marcus Stroman to the Cubs in exchange for Nico Hoerner and Cody Bellinger. That's the trade proposal that was proposed. Not by me, by someone in the Airport Sports. Yeah. So give us your thoughts in the comments section. Hector, what do you think about this? I mean, what's initially, what would you do? What would you not do? Would you modify it at all?
Before I give my take on the trade, I just want people to understand when it comes to this time in the offseason, there's no baseball happening right now. So when you see all these articles coming out or when you see takes come out from certain journalists, they have nothing to write about. So they're just trying to come up with anything, take it, throw it against the wall to see what sticks, right? With that being said, when you look at the trade proposals, right, sometimes you look at them, you're like, it makes sense. Sometimes they're like, were you playing MLB The Show and following certain creators on Twitter and you're getting confused with your trades? But when you look at it, it kind of makes sense. Yes, as a Yankee fan, I would love to see what Spencer Jones could turn into, right? I do believe he will be a late bloomer, like I mentioned to you, Jason, behind the scenes. But if it's a way for the Yankees to get a first baseman like Cody Bellinger, I understand he has injuries concerns as well. Dexter, my guy, how you doing? When it comes to injury concerns with Cody Bellinger, I understand that. But when you look at Nico Hoerner, he is young guy, controllable years, could play second, could play third base as well. And you're just flopping the money. You're getting Marcus Stroman's money off of the books. You bring in Cody Bellinger for first base. You could choose if you want Nico to play second or third, and you could flip-flop between him or Jazz. But I'll start with my take because we got Dexter Henry, my guy Dex, on the show.
Dexter, welcome, and thanks for coming on with us. Appreciate you, man.
Oh, no problem, Jason. Pleasure to meet you. Hector, what's up, man? How you doing?
Chilling, man.
We were just talking about this trade proposal that was floating around New York Post Sports right now. New York Post Sports. I don't know if you heard. It's between the Yankees and the Cubs. It's Spencer Jones
for Bellinger
and Hoerner.
Yep.
Yeah. And Spencer Jones, Stroman, and Will Warren. It's kind of circulating right now. I wanted to see what your take was on that.
I like it. I like it for the Yankees. I heard a little bit of what you were saying at the end there, Hector. Because Bellinger coming to play first. The Yankees obviously need to address that because with Rizzo, they didn't pick up. It was likely to not come back. I'd be stunned if Rizzo came back. I like that. Give me that trade again. Sorry, Jason.
So it's the Yankees. It's top prospect Spencer Jones, pitching prospect Will Warren, and starting pitcher Marcus Stroman, who's got 2025 and 2026 options at $18 million per. Over to the Cubs for Cody Bellinger and Nico Hoerner. Hoerner's got 2 more years at about $11 million per. Bellinger has a $27 million option this year and a $30 million vesting option. Oh, not a excisable option for 2026. So he can opt in to next year. He's got opt-ins and opt-outs in each of these next 2 years. So that's the part of the contract that worries me. He can have a bad year and still opt into $30 million for 2026. I'm like,
okay. No, I'm glad. I didn't know. I couldn't remember Bellinger's contract stuff off the top of my head. The reason I'm glad you said that is I'm like, okay, so if you you lose that 18 mil from Stroman, right? Like you're just reallocating it to need first base. I don't mind it. The thing I guess I would say with that for me is then what are the Yankees doing to add another arm to the rotation? And then I'm sure you guys have discussed this in plenty. What does this mean for how they feel about some of their other young players and contributing to the team next year, right? Jason Dominguez.
Right.
Yeah. Austin Wells, I assume, will be back catcher in year 2. I think obviously you get a Bellinger that says the end for it. I don't think they see Ben Rice as the everyday first baseman. I just got the vibe Captain doesn't seem like that anyway. I kind of like that move. You know, I'm a Stroman fan, so I'm a little bit
same
disappointed if he doesn't stay with the team, but I like the move because I think it's a move that allows the Yankees to still not spend much, but just sort of reallocate their funds to fill needs, which is I think what the Yankees are going to want to try to do if they're going to bring back Juan Soto. I think that's the way they're going to try to move around the perimeters. If they're going to go all in, bring Soto back, those are the kind of trades you have. I think smaller signings or trades are the way they're going to go. I don't mind that deal. If the Yankees did it, I think it would be a smart deal, actually, now you think about it. So, Jason, thanks for that, because anytime I hear trades, I'm always like, please give the financial breakdown, because that matters a ton in terms of like how I'm going to view it and what I think is good. I like that deal. Actually, the more I think about it, I like that. I actually like it for both teams. Actually, it feels like a good deal for both teams.
To your point too, Hector, I mean, the Yankees are in a position, I think, to trade arms for bats, right? And if Hal, in my opinion, if Hal's going to meet up with Juan Soto, which he is, a good selling point is to tell him, Juan, you're going to come back to a better Yankees team next year, not the same Yankees team. Okay? That's got to be a selling point, right? So no matter what it is, and I propose some stuff, some outside the wall stuff that people drive people crazy. I've even proposed trading Luke Weaver, okay, because he has 1 year left on his deal, and he can get him while it's hot right now, and they can get an impact bat for him. Maybe even if it's Josh Naylor or somebody like that. That way, you're not having to give a qualifying offer to a free agent.
The only thing that I was going to say real quick, the only thing that I'm hesitant on when it comes to it, right? Because when you first see the trade proposal, it's like Dexter, when you're on Twitter and you see it, you're like, were you playing MLB The Show or is this actually real, right? So it's like when you first see the trade, you're like, it kind of makes sense. But the only way that I'm hesitant on it is that I don't think the New York Yankees, they want to go in and lock down a first baseman from outside the organization, right? I think the Yankees, they view Aaron Judge transitioning to the first base spots after the next 3 or 4 years, because he's going to get up there in age, and with his big body, they probably don't want him running around the outfield, especially if the idea is to bring back Juan Soto, right? If the idea is to bring back Juan Soto, then you need to have a position where you can move Aaron Judge to, and that could be first base. We've seen other Hall of Fame players that transition from the outfield to first base as they've gotten up there with age, and I think Aaron Judge could probably make that transition seamlessly. He's a super athlete. He's not going to be Don Mattingly at first base, but he will give you above average defense possibly at first base, and I think that's why when you see the rumors of Christian Walker, it makes sense because it's only for 3 years, right? 3 years, 22 to 24 million a season. That makes more sense instead of trading for Cody Bellinger, because Cody Bellinger is going to demand 26, 28 million, 30 million a season. Christian Walker is cheaper. He doesn't have those injury concerns. He has won 3 straight gold gloves in the National League for the past 3 seasons. So I think Christian Walker would be a better option than Cody Bellinger. With Marcus Stroman may have some potential trade
value,
destination or trade value, because when you look at his numbers on paper, yes, he broke down in August and September, didn't even get used in the postseason. But when you look at his numbers on paper, 150 innings for 18 million. That's market value right now for a starting pitcher. So starting pitchers that can give you 150, 160 innings, they're going for about 18 to 20 million per season in the free agent market that we're in right now. So he had some value in the trade market.
Well, I wanted to ask you guys both a question, if you don't mind. I'm glad you brought up Christian Walker. Now, the Yankees are also linked to this guy Murakami, this Japanese first baseman, right? He's supposed to be. His team has agreed to post him early, but it hasn't made official yet. He's already hired Casey Close, American agent. So he's kind of one step ahead. Now, the way I'm looking at it is the Yankees are going to be hesitant to sign any player that's attached to a QO until Roki Suzuki's figured out, until Murakami's figured out. Because when you sign somebody attached to a QO, you have to give $1 million in international money. And they need as much international money allocated to these guys first. And Murakami gives them an option to bring in somebody who's 24, who's 10 years younger than Christian Walker on the cheap, making it easier to add pieces to Juan Soto, making it easier for them to go after somebody like Tanner Scott, who's going to be an expensive piece in the bullpen or something like that. So what's your take on that? I want to know what you guys are thinking.
So that point, right? I like when you can, as a team, you're in this team building position where you can go the international route because it allows you, as you're alluding to give yourself more financial flexibility. And I think it really depends on what the Yankees want. While when Hector was talking to me about this, I thought Chris Walker is a great option for the Yankees, and I think he is. The only thing I think with that is how Christian Walker's 34, if I'm not
33.
mistaken.
He's going to be 34 next year. Yeah, so he's up there in age. You talked about a 3-year plan, Hector, and that's what I'm wondering with the Yankees. What is it? Is it flexibility and being a little bit younger? Mm-hmm. Is it, obviously the Yankees were right there knocking on the door to win a World Series. You want to win now? Do you think Christian Walker's the kind of guy? I think that's what you kind of have to balance if you're the Yankees, right? But Jason, this isn't the Yankees of old. The Yankees are not the Dodgers now. They're not the Mets where they could just spend. So they do have to think about things a little bit differently. They're also not, we're not talking like them like they're the Pittsburgh Pirates or something, but they have to think about the flexibility. So I do wonder if going the international route and trying to get somebody in their prime or a little bit younger, the only thing I think that what I'll switch to that, how many unproven players will you have in your lineup / rotation next year? That's where I think they're going to bounce. And the Yankees have always been like, we're not going to go too far with too many unproven players. Outside of 2017, they're not going to do that too much, right? So we think Jason Dominguez is going to start left field next year, likely. Obviously it'll be second year, as I said, for Austin Wells. You don't know what they're going to do with second and third. There's a lot of, are you going to bring in I don't say he's not proven because he's a professional, but unknown to the MLB, right? Yeah.
I think it's weighing that. If you ask me personally, if it was me personally, I would go after the Japanese first baseman. I would go that route. I like to keep a little bit more youth, extend the window for your stars like a Judge and Soto, assuming you bring him back. I think you want to extend that window with younger talent that could be really. And the fact he's a professional already, even though it's in Japan, I tend to have more faith in that than actually somebody coming up from the lineup.
Yeah,
so,
then just giving it to Ben Rice blindly because Murakami, at least you could say he played quadruple A over there in Japan.
Yeah, and I think there's value to that, right? Like I think there's value to being a professional. I say that all the time. I really do. So I think that him coming over and, if you're going to spend that money, but to the other point Jason's making, they're going to want to know what happens with Sasaki first, right? Yeah. He's kind of going to set the market, the international market. They're going to want to know what happens there before they make a move. And obviously, I think the other thing is they obviously want to know what they're doing with Soto, right? Because that influences so many of the other moves and how they build the team out. So it's interesting. It's up to me. I would go the younger player to extend the window for the Yankees. I think these are the kind of moves they have to start thinking about. I think it's a smart move if they go that way. Although I don't dislike Bellinger trade. I actually probably my first choice. If I knew I had the funds for it, I would go with the international route and see if I get some younger talent away.
And one of the reasons I bring him up is because, like, one of the things that when you're looking at a player in AAA, this guy's got 25 home runs, this guy's got 30 home runs a year, right? Murakami's 24, and he has 240 home runs already. At the age of 24, 240. And on a down year, he hits 35.
Yeah.
He hit 58 2 years ago. 58.
Yeah, right.
So that's one reason. And again, international free agency is 3 years of pre-arb and 3 years of arb. You can get him for 6 years on the cheap, right? Doesn't pan out. You didn't give him $150 million.
Yeah.
Right.
You're a pre-arb guy. You can non-tender a pre-arb guy.
Yeah.
Or Jason, or you didn't give up any assets too, right? Like you still kept
big time.
your assets.
You're not trading
around
Dominguez. You're not trading Spencer Jones. You're not he's not attached to a qualifying offer like you mentioned, Jason. So you're not losing a draft pick and you're not losing any international signing money. The thing about Murakami, for me, what intrigues me is that he's versatile. He could play first and third base. Christian Walker is 33. He can only play first base. So that's why Murakami, to me, he's more interesting. He's a younger player like Dexter mentioned. He fits Yankee Stadium like a glove, being a left-handed bat, being a left-handed power bat as well. It intrigues me because when you look, and you could use this argument for any player that's out there, Juan Soto, whoever. But when you look at Murakami, right, if he was to go the route of joining the other Japanese players with the Dodgers or going to San Diego with the Padres, right, he will be the second fiddle when it comes to Japanese superstars on his team. If he goes to San Diego, he's behind Yu Darvish, who is a legend in Japan. So when it comes to money that you can make off the field, marketing wise, what team is going to be able to give him the most chance to make that money? And that's the Yankees, right? The same thing with Juan Soto. You can use that argument with the Yankees and the Mets and Juan Soto. Which team, if the contract is identical with both the Mets and Yankees, which team gives him the chance to make the most money off the field, the Mets or the Yankees? And you got to believe it's the Yankees. Of course, my bias has me believing it's the Yankees.
To your point too, Hector, I mean, it's a very important point. Like, I understand the logic behind Christian Walker too.
And my fault, Murakami was injured last year too, Jason, right? That's why he had a down season. He was injured throughout the year.
He still hit like 35 home runs.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, bro.
So I'll take anybody who hits 35 runs on a down year. So, but like, I can see the argument for Christian Walker too, because if you're gonna go with Caleb Durbin for second base, you're gonna want an elite glove at first base.
Yeah.
Christian Walker is an elite glove at first base. So I can understand improving, and this is one of the areas that the Yankees need to improve, right? In the infield defense. I totally get that argument. So, and would I complain if they got Christian Walker? Not at all. Right? I wouldn't complain if they got Bellinger either. But I think Murakami is an intriguing possibility here. But it boils down to what you guys are talking about too. How are you building around Juan Soto, right? Because that's priority number one, right? And the fact is, no matter how long Juan Soto takes to sign, he does not address the bullpen. He does not address the infield. The Yankees have to address these holes one way or the other. And by doing these, goes back to that selling point that I think Hal could say, dude, you're coming back to a better team this year. I guarantee you. And I think that's going to be a very valuable selling point. I think the Yankees have an advantage right now because he played for them last year. If he didn't play for them, I think the Mets would have a bigger advantage in free agency. But I think the Yankees have a bigger free agency because he had a taste of what it feels like to play here. Got the love from the fans, got the love from the team. He knows what it's like. And he went to the World Series in his only freaking year here. So
yeah, I do agree with that. I do think that's the advantage of the Yankees. The Yankees could sell him on two things: the recency of what he's experienced, and they went to the World Series. I think people sometimes devalue that. It's a great point, Jason. And Hector and I have talked about this before too. I think the other thing they can sell him on is the fact that, look, if you win here, I grew up a Mets fan, so I love seeing the Queens. But the thing they could sell him on is you could be a legend here, right? You can be in Monument Park. You could be one of the retired numbers. Hector makes another good point. I know the world is different today and more open with marketing opportunities, but there's something about being in those Yankee pinstripes that matter a little bit more. Okay, that look a little more, whether that's Soto, right? Whether that's Murakami we're talking about, and these guys you could sell them on in that way. So I really think that the Yankees are going to have to sell Soto strongly on the team's going to be better, and they have to show him the plan. And not just better next year, Jason.
Yeah,
we're better in trying to compete for championships the next 4 to 5 years. We're trying to extend this window. We're thinking in this way. This is how we're going to be. So if it is Caleb Durbin that's going to be coming up at second base, who the Yankees seem to be very high on and are giving him a good shot to start, see how he performs in spring training, you're going to have some young talent coming around you. That's why I think going the international route can even help too, because granted, he's 20, Soto's 26, right? But nobody wants to feel as they get older that they're carrying the weight. They want to know there's guys behind them that can help in the lineup and grow with them. And the Yankees have some young guys coming. So whether it be Dominguez, whether it be Austin Wells, whether it be Caleb Durbin, they're not old in the lineup. And you could show them the path to being really good for the next 4 to 5, maybe 6 years. I know windows can change. I get all that in sports very quickly. But I think, Jason, you make a fantastic point. It's telling him that, hey, this isn't going to be last year's team.
No.
This is going to be an improved team, and we're committed to doing this and getting back to the Yankee tradition of winning for the next, decade or so.
And you brought up windows, Dexter. The reason why I bring that up because I don't know if you guys heard what Mookie Betts said.
Yeah.
Nah.
7 years
at the awards. When was the awards? Like last night or the night before?
Yeah. Yeah. Mookie Betts said basically we got it for the next 7 years. You guys can think about winning after that.
Yeah.
Mookie Betts said. So that's
that's a quote.
If I'm Al Steinbrenner, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, really? That right there would put a light of fire in my belly. Right? And I would want Juan Soto. I would want to add to Juan Soto. I said, because if we get you back to the World Series and play you next year, it's going to be payback time.
Yeah. And one thing that I've seen a lot of Yankee fans, and I appreciate the creativeness that people are doing. They're saying, let Juan Soto go, take that money and spread it around with different players, Santander, Christian Walker. Listen, this is not Moneyball. We aren't the Oakland Athletics, right? The New York Yankees do not need to try to recreate Juan Soto in the aggregate because you don't want to sign Juan Soto. You have the money to sign Juan Soto. You are the New York Yankees. You are worth $9 billion. You are the second richest professional sports team in North America behind the Dallas Cowboys for a reason. The Yankees are an international brand. If George Steinbrenner and Dexter, I said it on your show, if George Steinbrenner was alive today, the last thing he would want to see is not only his guy leave his team, but go to the Mets and the Yankees become the laughing stock of baseball. How Steinbrenner understands that. Brian Cashman understand that. Scott Boras, the super agent, he understands that this is a business. That's why he met with Steve Cohen first to set the market for Juan Soto. He tried to get the Dodgers involved. The Dodgers didn't bite, right? After the Dodgers didn't bite and said that they would be interested on him, he piggybacked to the Toronto Blue Jays because the Toronto Blue Jays are the second richest team in baseball behind Steve Cohen and the Mets, right? And then you get the Boston Red Sox because they're another rival of the New York Yankees. All of this is just to spice up the conversations and to get him back with the Yankees at what they want, not what the Yankees want.
Yep. Really quickly, too, thank you for the super chat, Danny. Salute, Jensies. Hal's legacy will be based on what happens to Soto this offseason. Hal's the X factor. He is.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you guys, like, how would you build around Soto? And then how would you build without Soto? Right? Because this, to me, is like putting the pieces of the rest of the puzzle together. So let's just say Soto's back. He's in right field. How do you build the rest of the roster around them? Dexter, I'll take it over to you first.
I think first thing is, it's funny. I don't even think it's that deep, right? I think you got to clean up the mistakes that you saw plague the Yankees in the playoffs, right? So that's showing up base running, defense, being able to have a little bit. What I'd want is a team, to answer the question I say, is I want a team that's versatile around him. Can we play in different situations? So we don't have to rely on the long, runner over from first to third on a single. We can aggressively steal bases when we need to. So that comes with youth. That comes with some speed, right? That comes with players who play the game smartly. You get good defense. That's why you see Hector talking about Christian Walker and what value could be. So I think defense first. I think first and foremost, right? I think a lot of times we think offense first. Who can smack the ball out the yard? Who's a good fit for the short porch in Yankee Stadium? All that stuff. No, but I think the offense is going to be fine. Especially, I believe in the talent, Jason Dominguez. I think he'll be fine as long as he's healthy. There's a high on Durbin, but let's see what happens there. You never know with young players. Volpe's coming along, who I think is a fine player. Everybody wants him to be a superstar, but I think he's fine in the field. He's not going to mess it up for you. I think with more experience, he'll get better. He'll be fine. I love Jazz Chisholm. I think he's a great player for this team. You can use with his speed, whether you use him at second or third. Versatility, that's another thing. When you talk about building the team, Jason, versatility. I need players that can play multiple positions somebody goes down, oh, we can move him here. We can go there. I think that's what you have to have in baseball nowadays. I think you have to have that. So it's having the speed, having the versatility, having farts. Yankees do not see the brain farts that they saw in the World Series again. I know you guys do not want to see that ever again, because let's be honest, that was the difference between them going back to LA and not. It literally is. It's the difference between them having 2 wins in the series. Now, I'm not saying they would have won the series, but they would have had a shot, and they didn't. And so I think you have to have good complementary pieces. You don't need another big bopper. You've got Soto, you've got Judge, you've got Giancarlo Stanton. You got your guys. Now you need the complementary pieces around that can do the little things to win baseball games, not have it just based on home runs. And the guys who are also good two-way players that play defense, solid in terms of the base running. I think that's the way you have to build the team. The other thing I will add to that is, and I don't know how the Yankees exactly go about this, but I would say, especially we're talking about trading Stroman and things of that nature, I think they're going to need another top-end pitcher. I don't think Carlos Rodon was terrible, but I think they could upgrade him and maybe drop him down to a number 3 starter. And you get somebody else who's a number 2. You know, they need a guy who you think could come in and be a number 2 that might have some young upside to like trend to a 1 as Garrett Cole starts to take the downturn in his career. I think Cole's fine as the ace, but Rodon, I don't know how y'all feel. Do you think I don't know if he's that guy as a 2.
I agree.
Hector,
I
I
agree.
kind of know how you feel on this.
Yeah. I agree with you. You know, that's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Carlos Rodon. You don't know what version you're going to get out of Rodon. Is he going to just be batting practice and give up home runs, or is he going to be fiery in the first few innings and strike out 10 guys? Right. That's the thing with Carlos Rodon. I agree with Dexter. Rodon needs to be slotted down into that 3 spot, take less pressure off of him. He doesn't have to worry about being Robin to Garrett Cole, right? Garrett Cole's Batman. But I agree with Dex. It has to be somebody that's out there that can complement Garrett Cole, especially with Garrett Cole starting his decline as he starts to get older. I'm not sure if it's via free agency. I don't like Blake Snell. I'm not a fan of Blake Snell. I don't think the Yankees go out there and spend money on him. I like Max Fried just because he comes from the Braves. He's won a championship with the Braves. Braves are a great organization, but then again, if the Braves are letting you walk away, there's a reason the Braves are letting you walk away. So I want to stay far away from you. It's I think the Yankees are going to put all their marbles financially into Juan Soto. They'll make some moves here or there. Murakami, obviously, if we can get him, cool. But I think when it comes to the starting rotation, the Yankees may be banking on a trade out there that they could make, or Luis Hill taking that step forward when it comes to his development and developing into that number 2 starter behind Garrett Cole. I think the Yankees are banking on Luis Hill, and I think that's a mistake. I think the Yankees do have to go out there and
add a pitcher.
Dexter will be back, guys. He's just having some camera issues. He's going to join us. Jason, I think we're going to be rocking out for the next like 15 or 20 minutes before we get out of here. But go ahead, Jason. My fault.
I was just going to say, like, you know, everything. Let's just assume that Juan Soto's back, because I wanted to get your take on this and Dexter's take. Like, one of the things, I mean, being a former baseball player and having a little league, one of the things you practice a zillion times is hitting your cutoff man, right, from the outfield. Now, this is one reason I would move Jazz Chisholm to second, because you need a strong arm, whether it's the infield or the outfield, to get home plate. Soto's arm is not as strong as Aaron Judge's. We know this already. No. Okay? So that's why I want Jazz Chisholm at second, to get a faster relay to home plate. Agreed. And there are 2 guys that I have eyes on for third base. Brendan Donovan from the Cardinals in a trade. He plays multiple positions. He's a 27-year-old slap hitter. He hits the balls in the gaps. He runs the bases like crazy. Or Ha-Sung Kim in free agency from the Padres. Another contact hitter, runs the bases like crazy, and he plays multiple positions. That versatility that Dexter was talking about.
And they both have speed. They both have above average speed.
Yeah. And Danny, again, thank you for the super chat again. Like Hector said, we believe there's a lot of fake news. There's going to be a ton of it.
Yeah.
A ton of it. There's going to be it just happens. This is why we're looking forward to the winter meetings coming.
That's what I was about to say. Just to let everybody know, I will be down there at the winter meetings. I have a press pass through my job, Latino Sports. If you guys can, go to latinosports.com. We put out amazing articles. Support us over there. But I will be down there for the winter meetings. Jason and I will be going live every day. Any news that I get, I will be texting Jason. Any breaking news that happened, Jason and I will be breaking it. So make sure you guys tune into Jason, of course, at 161 River Ave. And make sure you give me a subscribe over there at Uptown Sports TV. Also, I just want to let you know, when I first started as a content creator, specifically as a Yankee content creator, Jason was the first Yankee content creator that I ever did anything with. And we've had a great relationship ever since then. Jason, appreciate you like always giving me an opportunity to come up and rock out with the 161 Mafia, baby.
Nothing short of a pleasure, brother. Let's keep doing it, man. Let's keep doing it. And again, like going back to the Juan Soto thing, like you said too, it's really hard to recreate him in the aggregate.
You can't.
So like,
especially with what's out there in free agency, right? Like, no offense to any of the guys at free agents. Like I said, they have more talent in their pinky when it comes to baseball than I will ever have. Like, I don't have the baseball talent they have. But when you look at it, right, outside of Juan Soto, you got Christian Walker, you got Pete Alonso. Hey, Mike Agadonis. Joe, how you doing? Outside of Soto, right? After Soto, you got Christian Walker, Pete Alonso, and then when you look at the position player fields, it's just average. It's the Anthony Santander, right? So those are the three big fish after Juan Soto: Santander, Pete Alonso, and Christian Walker. After that, what names can you put together that's going to recreate the 41 home runs you got from Juan Soto and the presence that Juan Soto has in the lineup? Well,
exactly. There's not many sexy names either. It's like, and this is, again, we're talking about building around Juan Soto, Dexter. Like, how do you do it if he comes back? Like,
well, first you start with getting Juan Soto, then you figure it out after that.
yeah. You got to get that done. And again, like I mentioned a few things. Hector mentioned a few things. One of the things I emphasize growing up as a little league ball player, you learn how to hit your cutoff man, right? Yep. This is why I would move Jazz Chisholm to second base if Soto plays right field, because he has the strongest arm in the infield. And there has to be a strong arm, whether it's infield or outfield, to get the ball to home plate fast. So if Soto's playing right field, I want him to throw the ball to Jazz to launch the ball to home plate.
Okay? I like that.
If Aaron Judge, if he doesn't come back and Aaron Judge moves to right field, which he should, then I'm more okay with Caleb Durbin playing second base with Aaron Judge in right field. And then I would go get somebody with a high on-base percentage like a Jurickson Profar or something like that for left field, or try to trade for that Taylor Ward from the Angels or something like that. And I mentioned two guys too. You mentioned versatility. Brendan is a good candidate in a trade from the Cardinals, and Ha-Seong Kim from the Padres, a free agent. They both play multiple positions. They're contact hitters. They don't rely on home runs. They run bases like crazy. They're fast, and they're good defenders. So they fit the mold of what the Yankees need, what they didn't have, right? And I think Soto or not, either one of those guys would be a good fit for third base if Jazz doesn't play third.
I agree. I also like your thinking about, you're thinking of the way of how your defense should be structured. So I like that. And that's a strong value for Chisholm at second base.
That's where they were kind of exposed by the Dodgers, right? So where can we get better around the margins without having to break the bank? Well, Jazz was already here. You can just move him to second, where he's a better fit anyways, a plus defender at second base. I applaud what he did at third base. Off the fly, he did it with no notice. So I applaud that. I love his arm, but I think he'd be better suited at second base, especially if Juan Soto's in right field. What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I know there's going to be some Yankee fans that want to see Caleb Durbin come up, but we don't know how he's going to perform. I think the Yankees are high on him. Maybe he's ready for this year. Maybe he's not. But that goes to my point. You have the flexibility to make that decision and how you want to structure your defensive alignment going forward. So, yeah, I like that. I think there's such value on having Chisholm at second base. He did a great job at third. You can move him around. You can throw him in the outfield if you need to in a pinch. I love Jazz Chisholm. I love that trade when the Yankees made it. I think Hector, I talked to you. We talked the day that happened. I had you on me the day that happened. Yeah, I love that trade when the Yankees made it. I think he's versatile. I think Jazz is a winning player. I think he does a lot to spark that lineup. And I think he'll be comfortable knowing it's his first year going in that he's fully in pinstripes, starting from spring training. I think all that stuff matters there. But to your point, Jason, I think we are on the same page in how the Yankees need to build this team going forward. It's got to start with versatility. It's got to be with defense. It's got to be players that support and complement the guys who can do the heavy lifting on offense, while also having some young players on there that can grow with those guys. I think that's really part of the key. And for the Yankees, it's like, look, you're gonna have to spend the money on Soto, but can you find the value? I think you said, Jason, on the margins, right? Like, can you get the value on the margins? And I think, look, I think in any sport that's valuable. Now, I don't care who you are. I don't care. You're the Dodgers. I don't care how much you have to spend. You're the Mets, the Blue Jays. You got to find the values on the margins. That's how you win. I know this is a non-salary cap sport, but you have to find that value, whether it's with your young players, which is key, whether it's with your international players, whether it's with players you traded for. So if the Yankees don't bring back Soto, I still don't think that, in a way, the game plan doesn't change that much.
No,
is kind of what I'm saying. It doesn't really change that much. You still need those same kind of players in. And yes, maybe would you like another bigger bat? Sure. But it doesn't change the issues that plagued you. Why the Yankees did not win the World Series in 2024 is still going to be the same issues going into 2025 if they don't address that. So the key is you have to address those issues with the kind of players we all are talking about. And, I think that works. I think where the Yankees are going to have to just make a decision is what kind of players. Do you want to go middle career, maybe a little older, somebody's more of a sure thing, or do you want to go with some unproven players that maybe aren't as tested in the postseason, but you feel fits what you want to do? I think that's a big question.
And again, unfortunately, it all revolves around Juan Soto, right? What are they going to do? But again, the holes are the holes, right? They still have to add relief pitchers, no matter what. They have to add at least one infielder, no matter what. So, and I would try to at least address one of these positions or something like that before Hal meets with Juan Soto. I noticed some deadlines coming up, like the deadline to put guys on the 40-man to protect them from Rule 5 is Tuesday. And then you have the non-tender deadline. So there are guys that can be non-tender candidates here that they can clear more payroll to add somebody in free agency if they want to do that. But I don't know if that's going to be a possibility. We have no idea.
As of right now, the New York Yankees payroll is $235 million. That's the 26-man roster. When it's the 40-man roster, that shoots up to about like 246, 248 mil. So like you said, so the Yankees have about like 12 to 14 of dead money with the 40-man roster that they can move around if they have to. But for me, I think the number one issue, right, that needs to be addressed, especially with the lineup, we need a leadoff hitter. That's the one issue. We tried to create a leadoff hitter with Gleyber Torres and with other players over the past few years, and we haven't been able to find that guy. And call me crazy, but I'm calling up San Diego, right? Luis Arias, he only has 1 year left on his contract. I'm calling up San Diego. I'm offering Spencer Jones. I'm offering Caleb Durbin if I have to as well, who had an amazing Arizona fall league. You trade him while his stock is at his all-time highest, and it's his all-time highest. It's right now. He's major league ready. If I'm the Yankees, I'm calling up San Diego, and I'm asking, are you looking to trade Luis Arias? Luis Arias right now, he only make about 13 to 15 mil, so he's not going to kill you when it comes to his AAV for the payroll for this year.
True.
Right.
And he plays first base.
Right. And he plays first base. Versatility, like Dexter said. So he's not the greatest defender in the world, right? He's not Keith Fernandez, right? So he's not going to win any gold gloves at either position, but he is serviceable. He is a leadoff hitter. He doesn't strike out. He puts the bat on ball, and he's something that we desperately need. Somebody who can hit 300 at the top of the lineup, get on base, and can score.
And I would be willing to offer Nestor Cortez in that deal. They need a pitcher. Musgrove is out with Tommy John. Nestor's a non-tender candidate. He's still in arbitration. So is Grisham. So is Tim Mesa. So is who else? Jose Trevino. All those guys can be non-tendered. The Yankees don't have to pay these guys. They can just walk away and not have to pay them because they're arbitration guys. So, but I think the Yankees are going to try to find value. And to me, value trade would be Cortez to the Padres for Rise, or Cortez to the Cardinals as part of a package for Brendan Donovan.
Mm-hmm.
So are you guys done? Are you guys done with Nestor? You want him gone? You guys done?
I like him, but I think at this
I
point,
like him.
1 year left. And I think he's one of two pieces on this team that could extract value back in a trade.
I see that.
I agree.
Who's the other person you mentioned earlier, Jason? You had somebody else.
You have Trent Grisham, who's a non-tender candidate.
Grisham. Mm-hmm.
You have Nestor. You have Tim Meza, lefty reliever, and I think they're going to bring back Tim Hill, so you can replace him there. And then you have Jose Trevino.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
Trevino, I could see gone, and the Yankees would let Ben Rice be the backup catcher, right? For Austin Wells. Ben Rice, versatile as well, could play back catcher and first base. So
yeah, you might be able to get these guys.
Yeah, and I think they see Rice more as a catcher from Cashman's comments at the
GM meetings.
Yeah, I think that was very telling to me. I think they clearly see more as a catcher. The trade, to your point, Jason, trading Nestor is interesting because I do think he can extract value. But these are the moves the Yankees have to think about. I think it wouldn't shock me if you saw more moves by the Yankees in terms of, I'm going to put air quotes, smaller trades.
Yeah.
To try to bring back players that fit certain needs that fit what we're talking about on the margins. Like I don't think that's crazy. I think we could see something like that.
And that's one reason I proposed Luke Weaver. People thought I was smoking dope when I proposed him in a trade. But Luke Weaver, look, he has a career like 4.50 ERA. He had a magical year this year. And you want to take advantage of that value, this is the time to do it. And again, if you trade him and get an impact back, and you bring back Tanner Scott in free agency, nobody's going to care that you trade Luke Weaver. Not a single person in the world.
Or you could use Luke Weaver and his value, and I hate to say this, right? Attach DJ LeMahieu's contract to that and just dump DJ LeMahieu. That's the one thing that is hurting the Yankees is DJ LeMahieu and his dead money. What he's making, like 15 mil?
15 for the next two. He's a 10-5 though, so he's got to waive it. He's got to waive no trade clause.
He has to waive the trade because he's been in the year for 10 years. Personally, me, if I'm the Yankees, Luke Weaver, love you. Package you up with DJ LeMahieu, ship you out. That $15 million that we just freed up, I'm giving to Tanner Scott, and I'm replacing Luke Weaver with Tanner Scott. And now DJ LeMahieu's money is off my books, and now I have an extra roster spot to work with.
I like that plan. I like the idea of flipping Weaver at his highest value right now. I don't think you're smoking dope, Jason. I think you're good.
People thought I was.
You're good with me. No, because I see. Maybe it's because we're talking about all this, but I see the thought process of what you're trying to do with the roster building, right? And it's like, I get it. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions on young players who've performed really well, and these are the tough decisions that Brian Cashman has to make moving forward. But I see that in terms of flipping him and getting something. If I would say now, it does matter. If you do something like that, you better go get a Tanner Scott.
Absolutely.
Right? You got to get that kind of arm.
You got to,
yeah. You have to. You got to do it. You can't take away a young arm who's been good in the bullpen and just say, bye. So
you can't do that trade and bring back David Robinson. That's not going to make the fans happy.
You can't do that. That is a ultimate downer. Then I'll say you're smoking dope. You know what I'm saying? Like then I'll say that. So like that's the ultimate downer. Yeah, but see, that's having a vision and plan, and the good front offices are thinking this way. And this, don't get me wrong, I'm sure Brian Cashman and the front office there were going through tons of scenarios. This is what they are paid to do. They are going through all these scenarios. They are thinking about who they can extract value from. But I think that's where the Yankees are. If you want to be a player with Soto, you're going to have to make some of these tough decisions and see where can you extract value and get more value elsewhere. How are you going to allocate your money? You're talking about freeing up a roster spot with LeMahieu and trying to get him up out of here. Hector, these are the kind of things I think you have to think about in where the Yankees are. The thing is, and this is what I want to throw to both of you, and Hector, I already asked you this question, but to me, this is what this offseason comes down to. Somebody said this in the super chat they sent you. Does Hal Steinbrenner want it? Do the Yankees have the want to do this? We know what George was like. We know that George Steinbrenner, he was not going to try to get embarrassed by anybody, okay?
Nope.
George Steinbrenner will be rolling in his grave if the Yankees don't bring back Juan Soto, because he's like, in my day, it never would have happened. Now it's a new day. I understand all that. I get all that.
Yeah.
But what's the Yankees want to? I think that's the thing we don't know. But it's really about what Jason's talking about here. Even if you bring him back, Your selling point has to be on what's the team going to be like next year and moving forward. That's going to be the key, because you have to show. My point I'm saying is you have to show Juan Soto the want to consistently win. And the best owners and organizations right now have the Dodgers want to win. They want to win. I think Steve Cohen and the Mets want to win badly. We know the Braves, well-run organization, and the Braves do it without having a super influx of cash. They want to win. I'm not saying the Yankees don't want to win or never have want to win. Do you want to win that bad? That's what I'm questioning. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm questioning.
And it's a good point, too. I mean, Steinbrenner always muscled his way into everything. He uses money as his muscle, right?
Yeah.
And that was his – and you never questioned his willingness to win. Hal's more strategic. He's more hedge fundy type, right?
Yes.
And that's the way he approaches the situation. No, this is where I think the Yankees need to be as strategic as possible, because we know they're not going to – even though people complain that they're cheap, they have the highest payroll in the game almost every year. So, and it's a different approach to the game. They pay $150 million a year in revenue sharing that they give to teams that just pocket the money and don't invest in – for some of them to invest in their players.
I can't stand that.
And there's no rule against it. So it's completely unregulated. So, and that's just the CBA has to change that. But will they? I have no idea.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue right there, right? Because you bring up the whole hedge fund thing, and I know we have to get out of here, so I'll make it as fast as can, and we gotta let Dexter go. But you bring up the whole hedge fund and the business side of things, and that is what drives Hal Steinbrenner, the whole business side of things. Yes, he understands the Yankees' legacy and the lore and what his father has built, but Hal Steinbrenner, he's a hedge fund business type of guy. That's why he understands the importance of Juan Soto with the New York Yankees. If you let Juan Soto walk away, not only does it hurt you on the field when it comes to baseball, but business-wise, your jersey sales are going to go down. Your ticket gate sales are going to go down. The food is going to go down at Yankee Stadium, right? So all of that factors into the conversation. When you look at Juan Soto, he's going to print you money if he is with the Yankees. And if you lose him, like Dexter pointed out earlier, to the Mets, you just lost the generations coming after the young kids right now to the Met fans. Like, young kids from this point out will become Met fans, and they won't care about the championship with Derek Jeter in the late 90s. They won't care about that, because right now you became a laughing stock in New York, and all of that is in the equation when you're having these conversations.
100%.
Yeah, and I'm with you guys, because I can't stand the teams that pocket this money and the owner. And that's why I want to be very clear about my words with the Yankees and the want to. The Yankees have always wanted to win. It's just the game has changed, and there's different kinds of money that have come into sports over the last, I would say, 10 years, right? And Hal's got the hedge fund background, but Hector made this point with me, and he's making it again, and he's absolutely right in that, look, at the end of the day, Hal wants to make money, and he wants to do what's best. He wants to win. He's trying to balance winning and doing what's best business-wise for the Yankees. There is a way to do both, but you got to spend to do that, and you're going to have to spend on Soto to do it right now. And, for these teams that are out there pocketing money, which I hate about baseball, because the Pittsburgh Pirates get to get away with it, and, different teams that aren't
Oakland.
these owners who have money that aren't putting anything back into the teams and their fan bases and wanting to win. And then Oakland, they got to move, and then Sacramento next year. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous for the game. And I know it sounds crazy in life, because we're talking about millions and hundreds of millions of dollars compared to what average people have to eat and do other things. But people spend a lot of money to go to these games. People take in all these markets and take their families and all this stuff. So to not put it in, I wish something was done in the CBA about it. I feel like there should be a cap of what you at least minimum have to spend. And if you don't spend, there's penalties. I would like to see penalties for teams that don't do this.
Yeah. A floor.
You lose a draft pick, or you move back 5 spots in the draft if move them in the draft, right? They don't get the first pick for the next 3 years. They're in the top 5 to 10 picks, something like that.
Yeah, because then what happens is now your fan base has to be mad at you, and no owner wants the fan base angry at them. And those owners that pocket the money, they never speak to the media anyway, which annoys me as well too. And now there has to be accountability for it. There should be accountability for not spending. You shouldn't just get to benefit from the revenue sharing from the luxury tax and take from everybody else. I just don't like it. It just It's just you got owners there pocketing money. And again, I'll just be clear. I'm not saying the Yankees were pocketing money. I'm not saying Hal Steinbrenner was pocketing money. That was not my point. My point is just how bad do you see the opportunity Hector's talking about? Do you see that opportunity from a business standpoint? And then do you see it from a winning standpoint? And how bad do you want to win? Right?
Yeah.
How embarrassed were you about I hate saying getting to the World Series is embarrassment, but how the Yankees lost, I think can be claimed said as embarrassing. And so how much of that is fueling you going forward, right, guys? Because if this was George, woo, we know the fire would have been hot. You know what I mean?
Oh.
We know the fire would have been hot. So, yeah.
And I think it's important to recognize that I'm speaking from someone who has a degree in economics. Revenue is not the same as profits.
Right. Nice. Good. Right. Great point, Jason.
Great point.
And revenues are here. Expenses come first. And then at some point you get the profits. You got to take the payroll out. You got to take the revenue sharing. And then that number is much smaller as it comes to the Yankees. So they're not bathing in $100 bills.
Right.
They're not swimming in beds and they're not doing that. Okay. They're also self-financing their own stadium for the majority. So,
which one of the only teams in the sport that is doing it.
This is one reason you see these insurance patches on there for $25 million. So they're accumulating as much money as they can so they can get out of debt as quickly as possible. So they can go back to a little bit more of a George Steinbrenner feel in terms of spending, right, for players. They got to get out of this mountain of debt. And mountain of debt, there's interest that accumulates on that every year. That has to be factored in. So
great point.
That's a great point that people you forget the Yankees. The Yankees are trying to think if there's another one in baseball. Well, Wrigley Field, but they're owned that don't have naming rights, right? Like that, like they don't have naming rights on the stadium. So that's huge revenue to that point in the word for a lot of teams. To be able to finance what they want to do going forward. The Yankees have never operated. I wonder if that day ever comes for the Yankees where they put.
Oh God!
Yeah, I know.
It's over. It's over.
Listen. I don't want it. I wish there was no naming rights on stadiums. I miss old stadiums and names and things that had to do with regions. I miss that a ton. I love that the Yankees don't have it. I love that the Red Sox obviously don't have it. And the Cubs, I know technically it's a company, but the Wrigley family did own it. I just wonder though, the way sports are going and you got to be competitive. I wonder if that's ever coming for the Yankees. Now the Yankees have held off with it. Jason makes a good point for people that didn't like the patches, but this is why you got to take the money like the patches, because you got to have extra ways to get that money in to build that revenue up so you could put it back into the team and spend. I can't see I can't even think of the company that would go to the Yankees. It feels so weird to be like,
listen, Joseph just put it in the chat. I wouldn't mind calling 161 Soto Park. You feel me? For the next 15 years, That's
hey, you sign Soto, you can call it whatever you want, you can do that.
Dex, before we let you go, bro, because we got to get out of here. Let the people know where they can find you. Dexter Henry is a great guy when it comes to covering sports. Also, I look at him as a mentor. He's done help me out tremendously. But let the people know, Dex, where they can find you on all platforms.
You can find me on all platforms at DHenryTV. You can catch me on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel, as well as SNY's YouTube channel. Got a lot of great content coming up there. Thank you, man. Hector, always good to rock with you. Jason, pleasure to meet you. Great Yankee conversation. I will be having both of you guys on at some point through this offseason, because this offseason is about to heat up. I'm ready. And Jason, don't let anybody tell you that you're smoking dope. You got some good thoughts, man.
I think outside the box. One of the things I talk about on this channel is I try to get people to think outside the box because it elevates the conversation for everybody.
Yeah, right? You got to.
I want people asking hard questions and not using other people's talking points.
I agree, and this is why we need diversity of thought in media and different voices. Hector knows that's something I'm always passionate about, and talking about it. I say this on every time I come on people's shows. It's important to come on and support independent media and not just have the same talking heads, all the time, because we all have different ideas and how we approach things differently. Sometimes people are saying stuff like they're smoking dope, but this is not that. It's good to support that and have different forms of media and uplift everybody. I really believe in that. So
Dexter, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I'd love to have you guys on again.
Anytime, man. Anytime Hector brings a call, I come through. Hector's my guy. He's doing great work. So salute to you both. So thank you guys.
Appreciate you, Dex.
Hector,
appreciate you, chat.
Shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way. Appreciate always hit the like buttons on the way out. Let's blow past 100. Thank you so much, Hector. Thank you so much, Dexter. Got to head out to a meeting now. And have a great day, guys. You guys are the best. I'll talk to you
Deuces. Later, guys.